This is All Talk with Tom Jordan and Kevin Deitz on 760 WJR.
We've seen bloody days on the stock market. Another announcement that interest rates are going up. Inflation is a beast that has hit all of us at the store, at restaurants. Prices are up, way up. And what about gas? $2 a gallon under Donald Trump, $4 today. It was Bill Clinton's guy, James Carville, who said, "It's the economy, stupid," a reference to what voters care about most. Here we are, months away from the midterms. Will not putting policy in place for a stronger economy cost Democrats, or will the issue of Roe v. Wade become the only issue voters care about? Joining us now is Dave Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science Professor at Oakland University. Good morning, David. How are you?
I'm well, Kevin. How are you?
I'm well. Will Roe v. Wade, that issue, make voters forget about the economy?
Forget about the economy? No. I think it has the potential to impact the midterms and change the course of sort of where we're going a little bit. I won't even say at the margins, but it's not going to be the biggest issue. The economy right now is dominating the landscape. There's some recent polling, I think, that's indicative of that, and it was in the field before the leak of the potential Supreme Court decision. But CNN poll has the economy at the number one issue for 50% of the country. That is a really high number. The war in Ukraine at 14%, immigration at 10%, and everything else is in single digits. So this is the economy election for now. We'll have to see what impact any overturn of Roe v. Wade has.
So Florida Senator Rick Scott said there's a complete difference between our view of the world and their view of the world. You create more competition, you reduce the permitting process, you reduce regulation. That's how you get inflation down. Saying 45% of voters think inflation will be a major issue for more than a year. Do you agree that inflation is going to be the issue or one of the issues, and will it be costly for Democrats?
Well, that depends on what prices look like in October and the first part of November. I think, all of the economists that I've been seeing, or at least the vast majority of them, are saying that this inflation is going to stick around. So if we continue to see increased prices for gas, for groceries, for eating out, whatever people are, it's affecting all sectors of the economy, right? So if those prices remain elevated, I think that that's going to be still at the top of the list for many, many voters.
Some of the solutions pushed by the Biden administration include capping the price of insulin to $35, providing tax credits to utility companies who generate clean energy, tax credits for consumers who purchase electric or fuel vehicles. Do you think these are exciting enough to independent and undecided voters to get them to vote for Democrats?
Those ideas may or may not be good policy. I think whether they're exciting enough, I would question. I also wonder if they are immediate enough, right? I mean, when do folks see tax breaks? When do they see an impact on their taxes? Well, not until spring of next year, right? I think that there are other things that the government could do to try and soften the inflation numbers. And you've seen some proposals like this, for instance, a suspension of the state or federal gas tax, right? That would be immediate and noticeable. And I think you're seeing debate about whether or not the state or the federal government wants to do that. And I wonder, too, if it's going to be enough, right, to soften the blow from whatever gas is $4.30 a gallon down to $4, right? I mean, it's still going to be a hefty price tag at the pump.
Why fight it? Why not just say let's give it a try? Pretty much all voters are going to probably be in favor of getting a little bit of a break at the gas pump, whether it's the federal gas tax, the state gas tax, or both. Why do you think they're fighting it?
That's a great question. I think you'd have to ask an opponent who's in a policy-making position for that one. But I wonder if it's not a budgetary issue. Money that's not going into the government's coffers from the gas tax is going to be felt somewhere, right? Either taking it from another part of the budget to backfill that, which of course leaves another hole, or not spending additional monies on projects that would come from the gas tax.
So the Biden administration is saying that they're on track to cut the deficit by $1.5 trillion by the end of the year. Critics say, well, that's because there's no longer this need for COVID relief programs specific to the pandemic. How does that play politically? Who gets points for that?
I'm going to say nobody. Again, because I think it's going to fall way down the list on voters' minds of what's important, right? I mean, I think only in rare situations do we see the debt and the deficit become a major issue, right? I think, and it's certainly in times when people's pocketbooks are so much more impacted on a daily basis by things like inflation and gas prices and food costs. The how much or how little the federal government needs to borrow to cover its bills falls just down the priority list.
Everyone's watching these interest rates. The Federal Reserve, taking its most aggressive action in more than 2 decades. Will interest rates going up? People say, hey, they have to go up to slow down inflation. But at the same time, people are panicked about prices and costs, and now their interest rates are going up. So the interest they owe on credit cards is going up, and their mortgages, the price there is going up. Is this an answer to have multiple interest rate risings? Will that help Democrats going forward by November?
Well, I think that the impact of those interest rate increases is better answered by an economist. But what I can say, I think, is that the Biden administration seems to be in a no-win situation, right? Where they've got this inflation that's at a 40-year high at least. Yet the actions that the conventional wisdom would tell us can bring down that inflation, those rising interest rates, produce other negative impacts that's going to be hard for the White House to defend or get behind, right? So whether it's inflation or the market going down, those are pretty hefty bad news stories that the White House is going to have to confront. Now, there is some good news, right? I mean, the economy created more than 400,000 jobs last month. That's obviously good news. Unemployment holding steady at about 3.5%. But the question is, what weighs more for the public? Is it the bad news on inflation and the market, or the good news with job numbers and unemployment numbers? Again, I think when folks feel it in the pocketbook, it's their perception of the economy that really matters.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's why I wonder if Democrats will continue to push hard on this abortion issue and Roe v. Wade out of fear that they will not be able to get this inflation down by November, because it directly affects you when you are looking in your wallet and saying, do I have enough money to buy gas and food and medicine and all the things we need at home? Dave Dulio, Director of the Center of Civic Engagement and Political Science Professor at Oakland University. Thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
All right. Have a great